Biden was out on podcast interviews, running his mouth, talking all sorts of garbage. She claims his false, inflammatory, disparaging, defamatory statements. You better come out and issue an apology, Hunty. Failure to comply will leave Melania with no choice but to sue.
So now we're here, maybe to give you the platform to apologize to the First Lady for your statements that you made about her possible connection to Jeffrey Epstein.
That's not going to happen.
Melania going after Hunty Biden. Biden was out on podcast interviews, running his mouth, talking all sorts of garbage. And Melania's attorneys said, not so fast there, bucko. You better retract your statement or we're going to sue you for $1 billion. Fox News is reporting on it, explaining that Melania suing or threatening to sue, rather, if you don't remove these things, you're going to get hit, right? It's a notice of a lawsuit for $1 billion. False and defamatory statements, Hunty getting hit. Says Melania now putting Hunter on notice that she claims his false, inflammatory, disparaging, defamatory statements must be immediately removed and retracted. And you better come out and issue an apology, Hunty, or face legal action. Now, Fox News exclusively obtained the letter that their attorney called Alejandro Brito served up going to Abby Lowell. And I'm not sure if they're still working together. I, for some reason, heard, I think from somebody, that there was a falling out there, but I could be wrong. Brito demanded that Biden immediately retract the false and defamatory statements, which we'll read through the letter. Failure to comply will leave Melania with no choice but to sue. And so we'll read through the letter, get the full context of it, but here's some background. Brito also directed Biden don't destroy anything, and other people are noticing Biden's not responding to any other requests for comment. So we'll take a look at the letter, which is right here. This one going to Mr. Hunter Biden, the silver spoon-fed first child who was making millions of dollars grifting off his incapable, incompetent father. This letter goes to him, care of Abby Lowell, saying, all right, dear Mr. Biden and your attorney, this law firm serves as litigation counsel for the First Lady of the United States of America. If you don't know her name, it's Mrs. Melania Trump. Now, please direct all future correspondence relating to this matter to my attention. And this correspondence serves as a demand under Florida law that you immediately retract false, defamatory, disparaging, and inflammatory statements made about Mrs. Trump, which are contained in the video published on YouTube entitled Hunter Biden Returns. Now, failure to comply will leave Mrs. Trump with no choice but to pursue any and all legal rights and remedies available to her to recover the overwhelming financial and reputational harm that you have caused. Here's why. Here are the false statements that Melania will be suing you over if you do not retract them. You said this under A. Epstein introduced Melania to Trump. The connections are like so wild and deep. Yeah, it's so wild and deep, man. Jeffrey Epstein introduced Melania. That's how Melania and First Lady and the President met. Really? Epstein made the intro? Yeah, according to Michael Wolff. So Mrs. Trump does not agree or admit that only Florida law applies. And here is the interview with Andrew Callahan, apparently from Channel 5. They say these are false, disparaging, defamatory, and inflammatory statements that are extremely salacious. They've been widely disseminated throughout the media, throughout various digital mediums. And indeed, the video has been republished by various outlets, journalists, political commentators, millions of social media people that have disseminated this false and defamatory statement to tens of millions of people worldwide. And consequently, you have caused Mrs. Trump overwhelming financial and reputational harm. And moreover, the source of your false, disparaging, defamatory, and inflammatory statements is a serial fabulist, Michael Wolff, whose lies were published by the Daily Beast in an article titled Melania Trump, very involved in the Epstein scandal. Now, following the receipt of our cease and desist letter, the Daily Beast issued an apology and they retracted the false and defamatory statements. Okay, so Hunter is relying on a statement published by another news entity that has retracted that. They retracted it, and Hunter is still relying on it, saying in its entirety, now despite this, you have still unjustifiably relied on Mr. Wolff's false, defamatory, and disparaging statements, and you maliciously elected to republish them. Now, whether defamation is per se or per quad, both are actionable under New York and Florida. New York recognizes express defamation, which involves false statements, and defamation by implication, which involves false suggestions, impressions, and implications arising from other truthful statements. Like, so there's this difference between defamation. Some things are just defamatory per se. Like if you're like, that guy has a venereal disease or something, right? You're like, what? Well, we don't have to determine if that's like malicious because you're making an accusation about like a horrific thing, you know, it's like something like that. So, there's certain rules about what you have to prove and what is kind of provable on its face based on the statements. And then the burden of presumption, the burden of proof shifts from one side to the other. You have to rebut the presumption that it's malicious, and there's a back and forth there. But either way, they say we can win this. Even if you attempt to whitewash your conduct, as you just say it's just opinions, Florida law makes clear it's not going to absolve your liability. Look at this case called Milkovich. Look at this one called Dershowitz. Even if the speaker states the facts upon which he bases his opinions, if those facts are either incorrect or incomplete, or if his assessment of them is erroneous, it may still be a false assertion of fact being implied. Now, simply couching those statements in terms of opinion doesn't create a force field around them. A statement that, although ostensibly in the form of an opinion, implies the allegation of undisclosed defamatory facts is actionable under Florida law. So the conclusion is the same under New York. It would be an error to give the conclusive effect to the defendant's position of truthfulness, right? So truth is the defense before any affirmative defense to that effect has been raised in their answer. And while a pure opinion cannot be the subject of a defamation claim, an opinion that applies that it is based upon facts which justify the opinion but are unknown to those reading or hearing it is actionable under Florida law. 2014 case. And so consequently, you lack any viable defense to the overwhelming reputational and financial harm that you've caused Melania. And so the above referenced false defamatory, malicious, disparaging, and inflammatory statements were published deliberately to denigrate Melania. The timing of this video is evident and underscores the actual malice behind the decision to publish it, and given the plain falsity of the statements that were made. Given your vast history, Hunty, of trading on the names of others like your father, including your surname for your personal benefit, oh man, you're nothing without your dad's name. It is obvious that you publish these false and defamatory statements about Mrs. Trump to draw attention to yourself, to have some meaning and some relevance. Now, Hunter might take this and run with it, right? I think he'll probably want to run for governor of California or a House seat or something. They'll probably run for something or start a podcast or whatever. So going to war with Melania is going to be very good for his credibility as an anti-Trump warrior. And the libs will look past his lifetime of debauchery and his exploitation of them, as long as he's a good soldier who's going to march the ideology forward. Now, accordingly, Mrs. Trump hereby demands that you, Hunty Poo, immediately issue a full and fair retraction of the video and any and all other false and defamatory and disparaging, misleading, and inflammatory statements about Mrs. Trump in as conspicuous manner as they were originally published, and immediately issue an apology for the false, defamatory, disparaging, misleading statements about Mrs. Trump. And moreover, please allow this letter to serve as notice to you, to your affiliated entities, subsidiaries, to your employees, and any other person acting on your behalf or in concert with you to preserve any and all evidence related in any way to the above mentioned malicious, false, and defamatory statements you published, and have other statements that you have published regarding Mrs. Trump either. And by way of this letter, you're also directed, you better preserve everything in your records. Do not destroy, conceal, or alter anything. Physical evidence, nothing. Of course, he's shredding everything. And all honestly, this Discovery could be very interesting on this. And it was interesting that Hunter did reference it from Wolf. Like, it wasn't just conjecture. He's like, well, I think I heard that somewhere. He's like, no, it's Michael Wolf. And he was connecting it back. So I'd be very curious if there is more there. But if, in other words, that stuff would probably be deleted if there was anything there. But all communications between you and any third parties, any sources for your false claims, any and all documents and data referring to reflecting the communications, any and all documents that are related to your false claims. So we'll see. Now, I understand that many records are maintained electronically. However, this letter says all paper and copies be maintained and preserved similarly with the electronic documents. Preserve everything, spreadsheets, whatever. If you don't comply with the above by August 7th, Mrs. Trump will be left with no alternative but to enforce her legal or equitable rights, all of which are expressly reserved and not waived, including by filing legal action for over $1 billion from Alejandro Brito. And so please govern yourselves accordingly, punks. That's a nice sentence right there. I think I'm going to start using that one. Please govern yourselves accordingly. Not here. I don't have to talk, we don't have to talk like that here. But yeah, I like that. That's good. Maybe when I have kids, I'll send them a memo like that. All right. So good stuff there from Melania. Now, Hunty doesn't give a rip about it at all. He posted this today. So they went out, they had another interview with this bro. And here's Hunter responding to Melania's $1 billion threat.
Presidential litigation has arrived. It's lawsuit time. In my hand is a legal demand letter.
Content warning, by the way, there's going to be an F-bomb because Hunter has a potty mouth.
Addressed to Mr. Hunter Biden from the First Lady of the United States, demanding a retraction of Channel 5's video called Hunter Biden Returns, in which Mr. Biden here makes some speculative comments about the relationship between Jeffrey Epstein, Melania Trump, and Donald Trump.
Okay, well, they knew each other well. They spent an enormous time together. According to his biographer, is that Jeffrey Epstein introduced Melania. That's how Melania and the First Lady and the President met.
Really?
Yeah.
Epstein made the intro.
Yeah, according to Michael Wolff.
Yeah.
And so I only can go by what people are saying, and I don't know.
He didn't make these claims out of nowhere. They come from another journalist named Michael Wolff, who is a biographer that
Who was retracted by the Daily Beast.
actually spoke to Jeffrey Epstein. But now here we are, and I've got $1 billion document in my hands because Mrs. Trump is seeking $1 billion in
I hope
damages
she
if we
gets
don't
it.
take the video
Although
down.
he's broke.
And if Hunter here doesn't issue a formal apology to Mrs. Trump. So now we're here maybe to give you the platform to apologize to the First Lady for your statements that
Here
you
we
made
go.
about her possible connection to Jeffrey Epstein.
That's not going to happen.
Oh, they bleeped that one for us. Well, that's very nice. So that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen from Hunty.
For your statements that you made about her possible connection to Jeffrey Epstein.
That's not going to happen.
That little final chuckle at the end is fear. $1 billion. Yeah. Yeah, you're going to have to sell a lot more crack to cover those fees there, Hunty. So we also got John Kennedy. He's out talking about the Democrats. Like, Hunter might be the face of the Democratic Party. For some reason, I think he might run. Like, he's kind of doing like this rehabilitation thing. He's going to be like Jasmine Crockett, kind of, you know, except crackhead Crockett. And which he'll, you know, turn into something. And Democrats love that stuff. Like, they love these guys. They love Mamdani. They love communism. So they might take him and just say he was abused and buy into the shtick because they're so brainwashed. But here's Kennedy explaining the Democrats are nuts.
There is a split in the Democratic Party. Unless you have the IQ of a meat thermometer, you can see that. On the one hand, you have the mainstream wing of the party. On the other side, you have the what I call the loon wing of the.
Yeah, but don't meat thermometers kind of go up to like high? There's like 165, like your chicken should be like 165 or whatever. What's the number? Don't get salmonella. So I think they go pretty high, right? Like sometimes you want your meats to be up to like, you know, hotter than, you know, a 165 IQ is pretty good, I think, right?
Party. The loon wing is winning. They're fighting like cats in a bag, but the loon wing is winning. Nobody pays any attention to what Obama or Clinton or Pelosi or Schumer or Jeffrey says anymore. The leaders are Mr. Mamdani and Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders. And yes, they're socialists, neo-socialists. They want government to control your life and tell you how to live it. It's hard to believe that anyone can fit that much stupid into their head, but they can.
They're very good at it.
But that's not the defining characteristic of this crew. The defining characteristic of this crew, Sean, is contempt. To be a member of their club, you have to have contempt for America. Not gratitude, as you should, contempt. You have to believe that America was wicked when it was founded and that it's more wicked today.
Interesting word that he used there, contempt. And I've heard contempt be defined as anger and disgust. So anger plus disgust equals contempt. And I think that's a very good way to think about it. And thinking about that definition, I have contempt, I would say, for many criminals who are operating in the government. I have a lot of anger towards John Brennan, and I have a lot of disgust with his behavior. So I think that's pretty contemptible behavior. So I can understand the feeling, and he's repurposing that towards America, right? So the Democrats, do they have anger against America? Yeah, they do. They hate the country in many ways. They hate that you can have free speech. Like literally, like they don't like you to do it. They call it misinformation. You're killing grandma. Shut your mouth. We're going to suspend you. We're going to muzzle you like little animals. And they are angry that our First Amendment says that that is allowed. They don't want that to happen. They have disgust because we want to control our borders, right? And they don't like the idea, I think, of a nation state of Americans that's in the vein of something that mirrors the founders and something that mirrors their values that they established in our country. So I think that that's a pretty accurate assessment. Contempt is something that they have, and they have a lot of it for us too. I mean, they had tremendous contempt for us when we said, "How are you sure we should lock down the entire world for 14 days? Are you sure?" Yes, you idiot. Trust the science. All the things, right? It was a nonstop charade from them, and now they're, I think, feels like they're running towards the left. They're running towards Mamdani's. I think Hunter Biden might have a political future with the Democratic Party, which is a weird thing to say. But with AOC, with Jasmine Crockett, with Hunty saying F off, we hope to see Melania sue, because he'll just have another, she's got endless funds, so sue him. And make the claim, and he can defend himself, and Abby Lowell can respond in kind. So we'll see what happens. We know where it stands right now. Hopefully the lawsuit is being drafted. Alejandro Brito just got Hunty's response. We'll keep our eye on it from here.